Who do you have number one as the best player on Michigan's football team?
So I could go two different directions here, right? And we obviously have 3 games of samples. We could have done this before the season, and things could have been different, right?
Oh yeah.
Definitely would have been different. But the best player on their football team, pound for pound best player, is Blake Corum. He's the best player on their football team. Now, there's another guy that probably going to be number 2 that I could easily put number 1. Yeah. But Blake Corum, pound for pound, is the best player on the football. He's the best running back I've seen as far as from a pure vision.
Since like Mike Hart.
Yes, but he's faster than Mike Hart.
Yeah.
But way faster. And I mean, just a weapon. I mean, we haven't had a guy that scares teams back there in a long time. And obviously, like, he was on the team last year, but he's improved. He's probably got better coaching now. I mean, Mike Hart is his coach, so that helps. It certainly makes a difference. But pound for pound, the best player on their football team. I mean, purely from an athletic standpoint, I wouldn't feel bad about Blake Corum playing in my secondary. You know what I mean? Like, he's a good football player. And just an incredible running back. The improvement he's made has been awesome. So he wouldn't have been number 1. He probably would have been in my top 10 and maybe would have been in my top 5 because I was pretty high on him for the season, before the year, but he would not have been number 1 before the year.
I don't even know if I probably would have had him in like 8 start of the season, but
yeah, I think that's fair.
I'm going with Aiden Hutchinson, who I imagine was the guy you were going the other way with.
Yep.
I mean, he obviously injuries last year, but like we saw the havoc that he can wreak on an offensive line when he played Washington in a full game. Just it seemed like he was back there every single play. The man has a motor like Kyle Vanden Bosch. Yeah. Love to see it. And I think he's going to be a great NFL player one day. And right now he's making all the difference in the world in trenches on the defensive side for Michigan. So I like him right there too.
Yeah. Okay. Number 3, I'm going with Daxton Hill here. He's probably the fastest player on the team.
Okay.
He's probably the most versatile. He is the most versatile piece on that defense. He's their best cover guy. He's probably their best safety, if we're being completely honest, but there's a couple other good safeties there that let him move around. He's just their best. I mean, he's probably their best athlete in general overall. I mean, I think he's a first-team All-Big Ten player this year if he stays healthy and continues to do what he's doing. It could even be better than that. We'll see if he gets the stats to get national recognition. But, I mean, incredible player. Starting to live up to he's a 5-star coming out of high school, so starting to kind of live up to that, which I thought he would. And this defense, I think, really fits him and what they want to do with him.
Yeah, his versatility has been extremely key, especially going into the season. We're like,
the NFL is going to love him.
We might need him. We were really concerned we might need him to play corner and stuff this year, and he's played corner mostly actually this year because Brad Hawkins and Moten have been really good at safety. But he's made all the difference in the world for the secondary specifically. So, and I think these first 3 guys were pretty much unanimous. It's kind of what direction we go next. And
this is kind of where it gets kind of hard.
I want to say, obviously, very small sample size already this year, but Ronnie Bell is who I had next.
Yeah.
Last year, I mean, it felt like he was the guy that was like for sure going to get 1 drop per game, and it always seemed like it was a big drop. Mm-hmm. In the limited time he played this year before the injury,
leading receiver the last 2 seasons anyway. So.
Yeah, but in the limited time this year, made incredible catches right before he got hurt. Played yards after the catch were good, very elusive in open field. Obviously, that's why they probably had him at returner because that is a specialty of his. He's a guy that they're going to miss. They have some wide receivers that I definitely put in my list here in the top 50, but just none of them stand up next to Ronnie Bell. So I'm going to put Bell here at 4, but there's 2 guys I was thinking about as well right there.
Yeah. This is tough now, but I am actually going to go with Ryan Hayes here.
Ryan Hayes, all right. Yep.
So first offensive lineman, and you might sense a theme here soon. And this is based off of how the season's gone so far too.
Ryan Hayes is definitely the best lineman on that team.
Yes, and he's left tackle. He came in as an oversized tight end, and he's become exactly what they wanted him to be, an athletic. I mean, the whole offensive line is crazy athletic, and that's what makes them so good. But Ryan Hayes just been paving people at left tackle.
He's looking a lot like Taylor Lewan and Jalen Mayfield.
Yes, that's the mold nice. That he's in. Athletic, big. So I mean, you can't really look up stats for him, other than maybe pancakes, but it doesn't matter. He's just been dominant, and he's led that offensive line, and he was even more dominant. That Washington game, he was their best offensive lineman the whole O-line was crazy in that game, but among all others, he stood out a little bit more even. So
yeah, he's been fun to watch. 6, I'm going to go with Thunder, and that's Hassan Haskins.
Fair. Yep.
Just to have the Thunder and Lightning combination. They've definitely got national media attention already with the name Thunder and Lightning. So I like what Haskins brings to the table. It seems like that first guy's never bringing him down. He just keeps his feet moving. And I think that's really important to kind of set the pace when Blake Corum needs a break.
And I would guess, I mean, he's been the starter. He's gotten the first carries of every game.
Yeah.
And it's good because that's perfect in my opinion. A guy like him is
try to wear the defense down a little bit.
Yeah, wear him down a little bit, 1. 2, the offensive line's still trying to get a flow for what the defense is trying to do. So maybe they're not going to be completely perfect early, right, to where they hit on everything. So you need a guy that's going to fall forward, going to break a couple tackles. And second, like, I just feel like the combination of the two is perfect. Like,
yeah,
Haskins has probably gotten a few less carries just because Corum's been as good as he's been. But, there's probably going to be a game where Haskins, maybe the game just fits him better. Maybe O-line's struggling a little bit more. Maybe just that this team's stuffing the run in his maybe the next week. Maybe Rutgers sells out for the run, and maybe Hassan Haskins is the better back because he can break the tackle. Not that Blake Corum can't either. He's a powerful guy too, but
yeah.
I just feel like there's definitely going to be a game or two this year where it's like Haskins is the guy that should have all the more carries. So yeah, I mean, I like him right in here. I mean, that's completely fair, and that makes sense for me. I mean, he's been awesome. I mean, great combo with those two. I mean, I
love it. It's a more elite version than like Davion Smith and Chris Evans.
Yeah, way better. Way better. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, but that was a nice combination back in the day too. You love that power and speed.
For sure.
7.
7. I go a couple different directions. I am going to go with Brad Hawkins here, though.
Yep, that's my next guy.
I mean, his experience is obviously, I mean, he's a graduate at this point. His experience is awesome, but he's just a steady guy back there. Here's the thing: if you're a safety, if you don't hear your name called very often during the game, that's good. That means you did something right. 1, you didn't let anybody burn you over the top. 2, you didn't miss any tackles like crazy. I mean, the only time you want to hear your name called is if you're sticking somebody in the backfield on a blitz or you're picking the ball off. That's the only time you want. I mean, if you're the most boring player out there, that's good. That means you did your job. And I feel like he's gotten to that point. Earlier in his career, he'd make a flash play, big tackle for loss, and then he'd bust.
That's why you talked about Dax Hill. You're like, maybe he doesn't get the All-American recognition just because you don't want your name called. You don't get the stats.
I mean, no one's going to throw at you if you do something right. So, I mean, the only knock on Hawkins is he's dropped a couple picks. But even that one last week, I mean, it hit him in one hand. I mean, it was a rifle.
That's also why most of these guys play secondary. They're just they can cover. They're good at reading a quarterback size, and they don't have the best hands. So
right, and it is what it is. I mean, those are tough too, especially if you're running full speed one way and the throw takes you the other way. I mean, I'm not really expecting him to be able to catch all those. So, yeah, you'd love for him to come away with a few of those turnovers, but he's been awesome. I mean, there are no complaints about Brad Hawkins at all this year, and he's been pretty much as advertised. I think going into the year, everybody was like, "This guy's going to be good." I mean, all Big Ten possible, depending on how the stats shake out. So.
Yep, that's right where I had him. That was a good pick. I'm going to go with their best linebacker here, and that's Josh Ross.
Yeah, it was
number 8.
Ross.
Yeah, and I'm totally good with how Hawkins going ahead of him, but I think Ross has just been the experience they've needed in that linebacker group because it is a young group. Some like the other guys that they've had, Nikai Green and Jalen Harrell, they haven't had the same, like Junior Coulson, they haven't had the same kind of playing time that Josh Ross has had the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So I'm a fan of this one. And isn't he a younger brother of James Ross?
Yep.
Yeah, just fits. So keep the legacy moving, man. I love Josh Ross right here at 8.
For sure. Okay. I'm gonna go back to the offensive line here, and I just gotta figure out which guy I want to go with.
It can really be almost
this is
two guys. There's probably 2 guys it could be, but
well, this is interesting because this is a guy I would have tabbed as the worst offensive lineman on their front before the season of a guy that I thought would start. But Andrew Vistardis has been
that's a really great center.
He's been incredible. I mean, he might be. I mean, I was reading stuff today that people are touting like the smartest center in college football, just what he's been able to do. And he's become so much better physically. And it turns out he was apparently hurt a lot last year too and played hurt. So that could have been a lot of it. But the knock on him has always been, he's undersized. You can be smaller as a center. You don't need to be as massive. But he's undersized. He knows what he's doing, but he's undersized, so he gets pushed around. He's not been pushed around. And he's using his athletic ability and the fact that he might be a little bit undersized, but he's also quicker. To really change the way this team can run some certain plays on some of the stuff where he's pulling on after he's snapping the ball. And you haven't really seen the offensive line mess anything up, like miss a blitz pickup or anything like that. And that's him calling out the blitz pickups. Like that's him directing the offensive line there. So I have to slot him in here. I mean, I could probably go with a couple other offensive linemen even here. But I think he belongs right there as the next offensive lineman. Yeah,
and I'll keep that offensive line train moving, man, because I have them right next to each other. I have Andrew Stuber right next. So Stuber's been a solid guard, and I had Stuber probably as their second best offensive lineman going into the season. And I think to me, him and Vistardis both have been kind of right there at that level playing interior line. So
I would agree. I'm just gonna continue then. I'm gonna put Zach Zinter here.
Okay.
Michigan before the season thought Zach Zinter had a chance to be their best offensive player. Now he's got a broken hand right now, so he's playing with a club. So that might have something to do with any. He really hasn't had any issues actually, so I really shouldn't say that. But he moves dudes when he hits them. I mean, it is powerful. I mean, the dude's 6'6", 330 pounds, so he's massive, obviously. But he moves people when he hits them. And it looks, violently. The whole offensive line really just belongs in this top portion of it. Obviously, we went with some skill position players and some DBs and stuff. But the whole offensive line really belongs here. They have been incredible. Yes, there's competition caveats possibly, and we'll see where they go, this week and next week, but they all belong right here easily in the top part of this group. So
I am going to switch it up. I'm going to go back to DB. I'm going to put RJ Moten right there at 12. Definitely stepped up. I did not expect that much from Moten this year, but he's been huge, and he's allowed Dax Hill to just kind of move right to nickel corner to outside corner, back to safety, even play some outside linebacker occasionally for a blitz in. So I like that he's allowed Michigan to use Dax Hill as just that utility guy that's been elite wherever he's been put. So Moten being a consistent safety has really allowed the defense to do what they need to.
I would agree with that just because, from up here, he's had some moments where he hasn't been as good, but he's obviously his first year playing, really. He played some last year, but this year really, really starting. And I agree from a pure importance standpoint, he deserves to be there because without him, they would have to still have Dax Hill back at safety. And then suddenly that defense changes and what they can do. They got to have him there. So if that's the fact that they felt good enough to be able to move Dax Hill around tells you what they think about RJ Moten. So I'll switch it up to what number are we at?
13.
I'll switch it up to a little bit here. But I am going to go with a guy who I despised last year, who has changed.
I think I know who this is.
Offensive line. We talk about the offensive line all the time, but Eric All has been just, basically a quasi fullback. We haven't really played a fullback, but he's basically Ben Mason now, just destroying dudes on these crackback blocks. They line him up at fullback a lot of times, And then, he hasn't had a whole lot of opportunity, but he's starting to catch the ball a lot better. A great catch over the middle last week.
He pissed me off in week 1 because I think he had 2 drops already in week 1. But like you mentioned, he's getting better by the week.
And the blocking, if your tight ends can block like that, that's suddenly like now.
He's not he doesn't look that big.
Yeah, he's 245 though.
I think the height probably makes him look a little more slender.
He's 6'4", so that helps.
Yeah. But
he smokes dudes when he's blocking.
Yeah.
I mean, he hits people.
Mm-hmm.
And every time, I've been listening to some Jim Harbaugh stuff after games and like before games and stuff. And anytime that team or a reporter will ask about your offensive line's been doing great, he always is like, yes, but the tight ends are actually causing a lot of this. Like the tight ends are really springing a lot of these plays and a lot of these runs. So I got to put Eric All up here. I mean, he's been amazing.
If he keeps getting better by the game too, we'll have a nice little season there. So
yeah, for sure.
14, I will go with a guy that's going to probably step up a lot more now with Ronnie Bell, but Cornelius Johnson. I think he's the most sure-handed wide receiver. He's definitely not the burner. Michigan's loaded with speed wide receivers. Cornelius Johnson's quick, but he's definitely not near the fastest. But I think whenever the ball touches his hands, it seems like it just sticks to him. He kind of reminds me of like Nico Collins. If that ball hit his hands, he was going to catch it.
Yeah.
So, I like Cornelius Johnson right here at 14.
Yeah, and he's the big receiver, at least right now, that can kind of take the top off the defense if needed. Go up, like you said, and they need that. They need McNamara needs a security blanket because it's pretty clear that Ronnie Bell was that, and that was good. I mean, you ranked him at 4 anyway.
Yeah.
But now with him out, he's going to even step up more. He had over 100 yards last week, so it's good.
3 catches, so yeah, that's good.
I mean, an 87-yard touchdown will do that, but that changes it. I'll round out the offensive line here and put Trevor Keegan there.
Okay.
He's ahead of where I thought he'd be. He's probably the worst offensive lineman, but that's not. I mean, he's pretty much even with everybody else almost. I mean,
he's still gotten I think he's gotten all the starting offensive line snaps until they put the backups in. He hasn't missed
and he's rotated a little bit with Filiaga because I feel like they really feel like Chuck Filiaga had such a good offseason and he deserves a chance and really deserves some time there.
I think Filiaga's been stepping into where Zinter has been too as well because he can Filiaga can play guard and tackle.
Zinter's had the hand thing or the broken wrist too, so Filiaga can play like either guard like you said. And I just think that, Trevor Keegan's just getting better. I mean, and he's it's only his second year playing. He's massive. He's 6'6". He's probably a future tackle if we're being completely honest.
Mm-hmm.
He deserves up there. Like I said, all starting offensive linemen deserve a chance up there. So
and this is going to continue. I'm gonna say Chuck Filiaga here at 16, just because this shows how deep this offensive line is. You got 6 guys here in the top 16.
Yeah.
And I think that shows the dominance that Michigan has brought, and that's why the run game has been so successful. That's why McNamara hasn't been forced to make mistakes because he's getting time if he needs to throw it. So having that 6th man that Chuck Filiaga is, that's super helpful.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, he's been good. I mean, you can't really complain about anything that's been going on there. I mean, having a guy that you feel comfortable with, and like I said before, that we did this list of them. I mean, I feel pretty comfortable with 8 or 9 guys, maybe 10 even. But really, I mean, Filiaga's the swing guy where it's like, okay, if either guard guy goes down, it's not going to be a disaster if he goes in. We've seen in the past, but if an offensive lineman gets hurt, it's like, oh, game over.
When Jalen Mayfield went out, and Ryan Hayes was the only good offensive lineman last year. It was kind of rough.
Disaster. It was terrible. So, what number are we at?
We are at 17.
17. Okay, I am going to go with. This is tough. I'm going to go with Cade McNamara here.
Okay.
And part of this is just due to pure importance. I just feel like he's a steadying hand in that offense. Jim Harbaugh made a good point. He's led since he came in against Rutgers. I think the team like scores a touchdown or scores points on like 80-something% of their drives, which is crazy. since he's been the starter, been the guy, right?
Well, he's not going to lose a game for you. He's just there to manage the game, and he does manage the game incredibly well.
He hasn't turned the ball over. This team hasn't turned the ball over yet, which is crazy. I'm sure it's bound to happen. And we're yet to see him really take over a game. He sort of did it against Rutgers last year. I mean, he had 5 touchdowns. But he doesn't have to, I don't think. He just got to distribute the ball. He's got 2 incredible running backs, a great offensive line in front of him. He's got some quick receivers, which we'll probably get to some of those receivers at some point on this list. Just distribute the ball. You don't need to be a game changer. You don't need to be a game breaker. There might come a time where they might need some more out of him than that. But, and I don't know if he's that guy, but right now I think he deserves to be in the top 20, certainly. So from a pure talent standpoint, I mean, maybe his backup is more talented. Actually, I know his backup is more talented, but from a pure, from one, that doesn't mean McNamara isn't talented. He is. 2, from just an experience standpoint and an understanding of what he needs to be, he deserves to be right here. So,
and McNamara is kind of the guy that you want to keep going with as long as your team is winning effectively on the ground. You don't want. I mean, J.J. McCarthy does have an enormous ceiling, but he's going to be prone to throw those wild throws that could cost you a couple times. And I think right now in the position Michigan's in, where they are still winning, and the run game seems to be working for him, McNamara is going to manage the team just fine. So I like where they're at right now in McNamara.
Yep.
Number 18, I'm going to go with Christopher Hinton.
Yes.
I like how he eats up the middle a little bit and allows the edge rushers to do their thing. He's been a good run stuffer. He's even been able to attack the quarterback. So I think, and he's one of those guys now this is like his 3rd year where he's gotten some pretty solid playing time.
Yeah.
He probably is draft eligible. I think technically he gets that 1 more year if he wants to, but he may very well go to the draft after this year, and I think he'd get drafted even if he left this year.
Yep. I mean, he was touted come out of high school. His dad played in the NFL too, so he's got some good bloodlines. I think we're waiting for the crazy explosiveness, but in this defense, he doesn't need to be that. He's got to eat blocks, make sure we're stuffing the run,
hold the line,
and let the linebackers be free to make plays, and that's kind of what he's doing, and let Hutchinson be free to make plays in the backfield. So, I am going to go with another defensive guy here, and I'm going to go with David Ojabo.
Yep, that's my next guy too.
He's obviously the opposite defensive end / outside linebacker with Aiden Hutchinson, but the fact that he's been able to be in there starting for the most part. I mean, Jalen Harrell's starting to get some more run, which we'll probably talk about him at some point here too. But I didn't necessarily know what to think of him, but he's freak athleticism. I think he's got a really high ceiling. He made a crazy nice sack against was that against Washington? I think it was against Washington. Yep. He's got some good explosiveness. I think he's a really good complement to what they'd like to do with Hutchinson. And I think he's just going to keep getting better because I'm pretty sure he's from, let me see where's his, he didn't play a lot of like high school football, if any at all, if I remember right. Let me see if I can find, what number is he?
What's his oh yeah, isn't he a single digit number though? I feel like he's not a big number.
55.
Or is he 50? Yeah, he's 50 something.
Yeah,
okay.
He's 55. But he is from Scotland.
No kidding.
They don't play a lot of football in Scotland.
No, they do not.
Like
he had 13 snaps last week against NIU, but he was another guy that they took out Hutchinson had 25, but they took those guys out pretty quick and just let the other guys run.
Well, and then like I said, Jalen Harrell's starting to get a little more run, so he's got some competition there. Harrell brings a little bit more speed to the game too. So, it'll be interesting to see, but I think he deserves to be right here at this point.
I'm going to round out 20 now with another corner that's just stepped up for him this year, and this is Jamon Green.
Yep.
They've had other corners that have played well, and some that played last year, and we were really concerned about again this year. But Jamon Green has been a guy that we didn't know what to expect, and we're seeing him do his job. Mm-hmm. And I would compare a lot to what he's doing with like Lavert Hill, just a consistent guy that's been shutting down some pretty decent receivers. So
yeah, I mean he's their best corner right now. he's missed. He's been in position to make some plays where the receiver just kind of makes a crazy catch. But you know what? The way I chalk those up are you're going to start making those plays if you're continuing to be in position. And he's going up against every team's best for the most part. He got the interception last week, which was nice off the tip ball. So he made a play. So, yeah, I mean, I just think that he deserves to be in the top 20 the way he's played this year. I didn't think he was – I mean, he started to be a lot better last year. I mean, he was a better – he was to the point where I didn't hate seeing him on the field, you know, where it's like with the other corner who I'm sure we'll talk about because he's been a lot better too this year. It was just like a disaster every time we saw his number. And, you know, now it's like, okay, look, I mean, Jamon Green is clearly that guy. I don't think they have lockdown corners like they've had in the past, like a Jordan Lewis, a David Long. Like those were – and Lavert Hill, I think, is probably better than both these guys too. But those were elite DBs, and you're seeing Jordan Lewis and David Long play on Sundays right now. Consistently. I mean, making interceptions on Sundays. So there's a reason for that. But I do feel like, Jamon Green and we'll talk about Vincent Gray, I'm sure. I mean,
we probably won't talk about Jamon's brother German though.
No, he hasn't really played.
So.
But that's okay. But Jamon Green deserves to be in the top 20.
Yep. So you're 21 here.
Yeah, 21. So this is where we'll probably start having a little bit of difference. Obviously, we already ran through the offensive line for the most part. But I am so it gets tougher. I'm going to do, just because I think his role is going to continue to expand as the year's going on. And it already expanded last week. I'm going to go with AJ Henning right here.
Yep. I moved him up quite a bit in my list over last.
Just because now he is the punt returner, right? And he looked great last week doing
and he's a burner. Man's got speed.
And they have to keep giving him touches. I mean, whether it's just on handoffs, I mean, whether throwing him the ball, they got to keep getting him the ball because he is a burner. I mean, he and Roman Wilson, those two guys are probably, and with Dax Hill, are those three guys there. They'd be fun to watch them race because they can all fly.
I'd like to get Blake Corman in that race too sometimes. Yeah.
I raced all three, but that's just me.
Yeah.
It'd be close.
Yeah.
But I think Corin loses. I still think Daxton Hill wins, but you got to keep getting him touches, and I think his role is going to continue to expand. So if we're going to have from a talent standpoint and a potential standpoint, I think AJ Henning needs to be here.
Yeah, I like that. And I think now I'm kind of going back and forth on an offensive player and a defensive player, but I think I'm going to go with Vincent Gray just because he has significantly improved.
Yep.
Start of the year, I probably would have had him somewhere around 35 just because he makes me nervous, but moving him to 22 after he's performed pretty well.
Yeah, and now he doesn't even really make me nervous anymore. He still kind of does, but like he's recovered really well when he's been beaten.
He's made tackles. I don't feel like he's missed any tackles out there. Yeah, his tackling is better. He tackles better than Jamon. Jamon Green covers better, but he tackles better than Jamon Green.
Yeah, and he's just better. I mean, he's a tall, lanky corner, so he's got he can cover some of the taller receivers too. So I've enjoyed watching him play this year. I mean, I haven't sat there and been like, oh boy, Gray's on an island here.
That's true.
It's about to be a touchdown or pass interference.
I think just the comfortability to it. You got a little bit of insurance with some solid safeties.
Yeah.
As well, I think maybe
a better defensive scheme, figuring not leaving him on an island. But no doubt, I agree.
Yep. 23.
I'm gonna go with Nikai Hill Green here.
All right. He's my second next available.
Didn't think he'd be nearly this high before the year, but he obviously had a great camp. He's pretty much he's their starting linebacker now. Although Junior Coulson is starting to take some snaps from him, it seems like. Depending on what scheme they're playing in. I mean, sometimes they'll play three linebackers too and go back to more of a 4-down. Or 3-3-5 look, but he's impressed. I mean, he's had some mistakes, no doubt, first time playing, but he when he goes, I mean, he's going 100 miles an hour, and he's a good tackler. I haven't seen too many missed tackles. So yeah, I think he deserves to be up here, and he's going to keep getting better and better. So I think Junior Coulson has certainly got the ceiling is higher on him. But Nikai Green right now deserves to be ahead of him, first of all, because he's playing more, and second of all, he's just above him as far as knowing what to do. So yeah, he definitely deserves to be right here.
Yeah, I'm going to go next here at 24 with a guy that plays has earned more playing time each week as well, and that's Maisie Smith.
Yeah.
In the middle of playing nose, kind of next to Chris Hinton.
Yeah.
And I think that rounds out our front four with, we said, Ojabo and Chris Hinton and Hutchinson. Then you had Maisie Smith here. I like what both Hinton and Smith have brought to just kind of eat up their blocks. They've been effective in the run stopping down middles on ISOs and stuff. So they keep that up again. We're going to win games in the trenches with our offensive line and defensive line.
Yeah, he's been really good. I mean, he was pretty highly touted. I know he's from East Kentwood, but really highly touted coming out. But he was always had an issue with conditioning and whether his weight was where it needs to be. But he's a big dude, and he needs to be. I mean, he needs to be that force there. He doesn't need to be. I mean, again, he doesn't need to be explosive. I don't think that's what they're asking their defensive tackles to be and their nose to be. Just eat blocks, and I think he can continue to do that. So,
25.
25, man. I will go with. This is tough. Man, I want to go in one direction, but I'm not going to yet. You know what? I'm going to. JJ McCarthy, number 25 here.
Ooh, my guy.
All right. So here's the thing. From a pure talent standpoint, he might be in the top 10. He probably is. I like your backup quarterback is, first of all, always one play away. I've said from the beginning I would not be surprised if for whatever reason, whether it's injury or just purely he just is better and the team realizes that, or the team just realizes that's what it needs, he ends up being the starter at the end of the season. As of right now, like we've talked about, no reason for him to be the starter just because this is Cade McNamara's team. He's done nothing to lose the job, right? Mm-hmm. He's winning games. They're scoring points. He's not turning the ball over. He's yet to even come close to putting them in a position where they could lose a game. But JJ McCarthy gives them something that McNamara just can't. I mean, it's just purely, and he would give them that next step. So it's just like, like they talked about, I think the first week, when Trevor Lawrence pretty much took over for Kelly Bryant years ago at Clemson. Kelly Bryant was good. Like he was really good actually. He had played in ACC championship games, had played in New Year's Six bowls. Like he'd been really good, right? And led the team, and they'd won a ton of games. But they realized, Trevor Lawrence, the ceiling with Trevor Lawrence is so much higher. So they kind of realized that 4 or 5 games in the year, and then they made the switch.
It was like Jalen Hurts Tua as well.
Yeah, same exact thing, right? Mm-hmm. That's
to me, Cade reminds me of Alex Smith and JJ could be Patrick Mahomes. Like let that happen. Let him sit a little bit.
Yeah, or Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick type thing. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying like just for that year though. Like Colin Kaepernick by the end of that year was, he was playing better football than any quarterback in the NFL. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
And the only reason when it was time for Alex Smith to come back, it's like we can't play Alex Smith. You know what I mean? Like we can't. Like that's not what's best for a football team. So I could see that happening. I could also see it not. And I know Jim Harbaugh is pretty loyal to his starting quarterback, but I also think he understands the situation. That's why they're trying to play JJ McCarthy a lot. One, to get him ready, and two, because hey, the time's coming, and I think it's probably coming sooner than people realize. So
I can dig it. Oh man, so that kind of makes me want to do my move next. But 26, I'm thinking Donovan Edwards, man.
Okay. From a talent standpoint, yeah. From a talent standpoint, he might be top 50.
He's just another guy that it's like Chuck Filiaga is to the line, like JJ McCarthy is to the quarterback, like Donovan Edwards. If someone goes down, or performance starts to get lackluster, Donovan Edwards seems like that guy that can step in and just compete and be competent. So
yeah, every chance he's gotten, he's yet to, he might have made a bad cut or went the wrong way or something like that, but he fits. Like, he's ready to play college football. He's not like physically.
And I think he's just a nice mixed breed of speed and power too. I like the way he just runs.
He might be just as fast as Blake Corum. He won't look as quick.
He doesn't look as quick because Corum's small. That's why
he's taller. But he's ready to play. He could end up being better than both of them.
Would be something. That would be something.
From Pierce's talent standpoint, he is as good as they've had coming in a long time. So that's a good one. I don't hate that there.
27.
27. See, eventually we're gonna get down to people that it's like, really, guys, like.
I might call it right around 30 or 35. We'll see how the pace goes, but
yeah, I like Dalen Baldwin here at 27. Okay. His role is gonna continue to grow. I'm
hoping.
I really hope it does, because I think he's got some ability. He can stretch the defense. He's another taller guy, but he's got some quickness. He's transferred in, so he's still, still had some of that to overcome, and he's been hurt. He was hurt.
He got 32 snaps last week, which is nice, but yeah, because of the injury, he also only had 1 snap against Washington, and he had 13 snaps. He only had 13 snaps in the opener. So
yeah, he's hurt, but now they've got him back, and I think he's going to play a lot more. And it seems like he had a pretty good rapport with McNamara. So they tried.
I would love to see Dalen Baldwin. I do think he's talented, so I would like to see more of him.
Yeah, and I know he wants to show out because he wants to go to the league. So that's why he came to Michigan instead of staying at Jackson State. So
and he definitely has the potential. So I'm gonna probably go with another wide receiver here too. Actually it's Mike Sainristil.
Yep.
I know maybe some people might argue Roman Wilson's better, but Sainristil I think has still more experience out there on the field than Wilson would. I think he's still fast, and I still think he's a gadget player that you can use if Henning ever gets hurt. Lord willing, hopefully not. But
Mike Sainristil reminds me a lot of some of those Rich Rod guys that actually never got that many catches, but were really good blockers. Just knew what they were doing. I'd like to see them try to throw him the ball a little bit more, but
they have so many pieces on that wide receiver group.
They haven't thrown the ball enough to spread it around to a bunch of receivers either. So, and Sainristil is the best blocking receiver now.
But I do believe Sainristil would have, if Giles Jackson didn't transfer, Sainristil would have. One of those guys was gone if Giles Jackson if they didn't transfer. That's just too many wide receivers, and I think all these guys that we've listed so far, even when we eventually inevitably name Roman Wilson.
Now they're thin. Yeah. Now they're thin on depth
but they're just spreading the ball evenly now because they're all almost equal at depth.
Yeah. Now when if another guy goes down though, now I'm going, crap. Now we're sitting there. Now Christian Bartholomew might play.
Hey, that'd be something. We know him.
Yeah.
29.
I will go Roman Wilson here. Just because I think, talent wise, I think he is above Mike Sainristil, and he's a burner. He can fly. They're starting to use him on more of the end arounds and jet sweeps and things. So I think he's just still trying to get comfortable. He's still trying to figure out how to get open against college defenses. But I think if they can continue to work with him and get him to that point, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with by the end of the year. So I'm putting him here.
Yeah, that's a good one. Right now I'm kind of debating on which guys are starting to steal snaps from other players and moving up on depth charts pretty quick. And there's 2 guys that we've already talked about doing that. I'm probably going to go here at 30 with Jalen Harrell.
Yeah.
Just a guy that you can put an outside linebacker, edge rush. Just seems to be effective and getting better every time he's out there. And I think the more playing time they get him, it means he'll be more effective next year when they need him.
I can agree with that. This next one I'm going to go with, just because he's played a ton and I didn't think he would actually play as much, is Rod Moore.
Safety. Yeah.
He's gotten in a lot. Now, I know they've blown out a couple teams, so that's part of it. But he was playing starter time against Washington. He gave up a touchdown. But I think he's impressed. Obviously they like him. If they're willing to put him back there at safety, which is not an easy position to learn and play, they feel pretty good about him. He might be a little bit undersized from a weight standpoint right now still, but they obviously want to get him out there because he's passed a bunch of guys who are older than him on the depth chart. So that tells me something.
I was going to say, yeah, he didn't play. He played 10 snaps against NIU, but 14 in the other 2 games. And I think that's something to behold. Is a guy that I didn't expect to see play much at all.
I didn't think I had to see him really play at all.
He took over for guys like Jalen Perry and Andre Selden, who I thought would play more. And those guys barely touched the ball because of Rod Moore's success.
Yep.
So I do like that right there at 31. Man, so 32, I'll go with another guy that's moving up the depth chart. There's Junior Coulson.
Yeah.
Linebacker. So, yeah, we could pretty much just probably read a lot of these guys off at this point. Not too much detail on why, but these guys are pretty much just guys that are going to kind of rotate in. Or maybe still have a starter spot. But
so here's the thing. I want Caden Colasar is getting on here, though.
Oh, he will be. He was in my top 50 for sure.
Caden Colasar is getting on there just because he's actually done.
He's in my top 40 even. I don't even have him in the 50 range. So.
Yep. Let's see. Next, what number is this? 33?
Yeah, 33.
I'll go Trente Jones.
Okay, yeah. Another guy that I feel comfortable with if he needs to come in and tackle.
Yep.
33 there. All right, 34. A corner that's been pretty effective, DJ Turner.
Yeah. He started to play more too.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's faster than the other 2 corners.
Mm-hmm. I like watching DJ Turner play. He's just gonna get beat a little more because I don't think I think he's too loose in his feet yet, where he maybe can't turn if another guy makes a good cut. So his route read has to improve a little bit, but with more playing time, I can see that cleaning up real nice. So 35.
I'm gonna go with Carson Barnhart here.
Oh, right.
I like him as a swing because he can play guard and tackle. Plus, he's from Paw Paw, so he's from like 20 minutes from me. So he was a tight end in high school.
Literally a homer if you put Christian Bartholomew on here eventually.
Love Christian, but he's probably not making the top 50. Sorry.
Well, he knows that you're coming from a good place.
Yeah.
36 guy. A guy that I really thought was going to play more, but then, you're seeing guys like Maisie Smith step up, Donovan Jeter.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and they said he had a good camp again. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
It's just those two, because, you have Mike Morris, we might eventually mention too, but like those interior guys are just playing well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I actually was going to pick Morris next because I think Mike Morris has been a surprise. He's been disruptive up front for sure.
Mm-hmm. 38, then I'll go with Luke Schoonmaker.
Yeah, he would have been my next. He's been really good.
Yeah, nice tight end switch up between Eric All and especially when Eric All is in there. Schoonmaker gets his snaps when All goes into that fullback kind of position. So I think he's been nice there.
Yep. Man, this is tough now. I will go with. No, I don't want to go there. We'll go with Greg Crippen here.
Okay.
Just because he is probably the backup center.
He is.
Yeah. And he's a freshman, which is incredible.
He's gonna be good. I think he will.
He's gonna be really good.
Like Mason Cole good for sure.
Yeah.
40 then I'll go with Taylor Upshaw.
Yeah, Upshaw has been good, disruptive. I mean, again, up front, I think they're not going to ask those guys to be, Maurice Hurst.
Yeah,
they're asking them to just handle what's given to them up front. So, this is where we get into the nitty gritty a little bit here.
There's still some pretty good players, I think, in this group, but more rotation for sure.
I'll go Caden Colasar here.
Okay.
He's probably now the backup punt returner. He played well on defense last week when he got.
And he's been a good special teamer too.
Yeah, he's their best special teams gunner. So I'm going with him there.
All right, this may be weird, but 42. I'm going to take kicker Jake Moody.
He deserves to be on the list.
He's been just consistent.
So. Yep, he definitely deserves to be on the list. And he's been good. Yeah, I mean, has he missed anything yet?
I don't think he's missed one this year. No.
I mean, he hasn't had a whole lot of field goal opportunities, but
I think he's only had 2.
Yeah. That's and he's made all his extra points, so we'll take it.
Yeah.
Next, I'll go with Michael Barrett here.
Okay. A guy that I thought, I mean, they have obviously changed their defense quite a bit, but
he doesn't fit this defense anymore. But he's still great on special teams. He's their fake punt guy.
He's athletic. He's super athletic.
Yeah, he's a high school quarterback. And he could round into some time at linebacker too. He's still a good athlete. I just don't think he's picked up this defense very well. So
another linebacker that's probably pulled snaps, but he's more inside. I'm going to go with Kalel Mullings here at 44.
Yeah, he played a lot more last week. Obviously, everybody did, but I like Kalel Mullings. You got to keep him around because I think he could.
He's averaging about 10 or 11 snaps a game right now, so he's doing okay.
Yep.
45.
45, man.
Dig deep.
I mean, I could go with some of the freshman receivers, and I think I might here.
Ooh, I think I don't have another receiver in my group.
Yeah, I'm going to go with one of the freshman receivers. Who am I going to go with, though?
You know, Andrew Anthony?
Yeah, I'm going to go Andrew Anthony just because I think he had a catch or two last week.
Yeah, he did. He's my next available. I have him just out at 53, so I can do it. So that was 45. 46. A guy that I think will eventually turn into, maybe not quite, but Aiden Hutchinson is going to be Braden McGregor.
Yep, he's starting to get a lot more run too.
So I'll just go on pure potential that I see from him.
Yeah, he was just hurt last year. He didn't get a chance to play. So I like him a lot. I will go with probably another backup lineman here, Reece Attibury.
Okay, yep.
He played really well last week.
So we're pretty much spot on. We do like a lot of these backup offensive linemen. I think at 48 here, I'm going to go with a converted lineman to a key blocking tight end is Joel Honeyford.
Yeah, he's played a lot.
Yeah.
He's been right there for sure. We're at 49.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Brad Robbins.
All right. Yep. Got him in there right where I had him.
Yep. I think he's one of the best punters I've seen this year. I have no problems with Brad Robbins right now.
Yeah. I want to finish nice. There's definitely, we can definitely shout out a couple honorable mentions if you think of any. I'm going to go here to finish it out at 50 just because I had him at 41 and I've kind of just let him slip a little bit initially. But I'm going to go with Julius Welshoff.
Yep. He hasn't played as much as I thought he might. But he deserves to be in there. We can shout out Jordan Whitley. He's massive, probably the biggest dude on their team.
Chris Jenkins. Chris Jenkins is another guy.
Played a good amount.
Makari Page.
Played
Dan
more.
Villari.
Dan Villari, he is what he is.
I'm seeing Carter Selzer, too. Is that fourth tight end?
Selzer's played a lot, actually, a lot. I don't think he's very good, but he's played a lot.
Tavir Dunlap
got some run last week and was good.
I think if Alan Bowman got his chances, you could probably put him near.
He played last week.
They played Jesse Madden.
Yeah, they played 5 QBs.
Peyton O'Leary too, or something.
Yeah, they played 5 quarterbacks last week, which is crazy. But yeah, I think Alan Bowman could be fine if he got in the game.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely a lot of. If we went any further than really 55, I think I'd have been hurting. But you notice the trend there. It's just loaded offensive line. I think we have 10 offensive linemen listed in the top 50, which is nuts. That means we feel like even their backups are guys you can rely on. That's kind of nice. And we didn't even mention Nolan Rumler, who I also think is.
We didn't mention Rumler. We didn't mention. Let's see. There's another guy. Tristan Bounds is going to be good. He's probably just undersized.
Griffin Corrigan.
Corrigan's massive, and he's been there a while. Jack Stewart, they've always liked.
My favorite name, who I put at 84, I just want to give a shout out, Nikko Tiberia.
Giovanni El Hadi actually played last week too, and he was a really highly regarded offensive lineman.
I'm trying to remember. There's another one that played last week too, and I thought did well in his limited time. Oh gosh, he played at the same time as Giovanni.